Hi, I'm Jay Jones, Democrat running for Attorney General of Virginia, and we're going to talk about public safety. As the son of prosecutors and the father of 2 young boys, I've always believed that keeping our communities safe is the most important responsibility of any Virginia leader. And this week, I'm releasing my public safety plan. As Attorney General, I'll focus the office on stopping violent crime, supporting victims, and protecting our kids, not the MAGA extremism we're getting from Jason Miyares.
Several months later.
You said, according to the article, I'm quoting, Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views. I can think of nothing more horrific than a mother having to hold her dying child. How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Well, again, I am so deeply, deeply sorry for what I said, and I wish that it hadn't happened, and I would take it back if I could.
Coming up, an attorney general candidate in Virginia is apologizing for his texts about a state lawmaker. We'll go through what the messages said.
He should probably be forced to withdraw from the race, and probably is doing a lot there.
All right, Morning Joe will be right back.
Boy. So we got to follow up on the bombshell story out of Virginia involving a Democrat attorney general candidate by the name of Jay Jones, who just got exposed sending text messages appearing to fantasize about killing a GOP state leader, right? And his family as well, too, wishing death on his children. And honestly, I wasn't really surprised because after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I'm not surprised anymore about what these Democrats believe. I really do believe that what we perceive to be far left ideology is mainstream in the Democrat Party, right? It's mainstream within the ranks of the establishment Democrats, okay? And this guy, again, is a great example of that. He is under the impression that his political opponents, Republicans, are quote-unquote fascists, and because they're fascists, acts of violence need to happen to them in order for them to understand the impact that their policies have on other people, right? That is the Antifa ideology that this guy clearly is adhering to. And of course, this is a big deal because we are in the middle of election season. If you guys didn't know, that's part of the reason why I'm covering this story, and I'm probably going to continue to cover some of these local races, is that, guys, don't forget, you have to get out and vote, right? Democrats, if they win, which right now is predicted that they're probably going to win most of the major races. We're talking about, again, the mayor of New York City, governor of New Jersey, governor of Virginia, some other races as well, too. They're going to get the false sense of hope that, oh, somehow, some way, the Democrats are back, right? And we have to not allow them to get that type of momentum, okay? So, again, it's important that you vote in these upcoming races, these elections, these local elections. But, again, in this video concerning this election, the Attorney General's race out in Virginia, which, again, is an important race as well, too, unsurprisingly, Republicans are calling for this guy to withdraw from the race. Even the President of the United States, along with Winston Sears, who is running for governor as the Republican candidate, they call for this guy to step aside.
A few days ago, President Trump demanded Jay Jones of Virginia get out of the race for condoning political violence in a text message against a Republican politician a few years ago. He hasn't left the race. He hasn't dropped out. What's the president's reaction?
Well, as you know, I'm not at liberty to discuss political races from the podium. I think the president himself made his position very clear, and I think anyone could agree the messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and that type of rhetoric has zero place in our country, and the president was absolutely right to condemn that.
The calls for hate and violence are coming from the mouths of the Democrat Party's leaders. And Jay Jones is just the most recent, and his wish for violent acts the most clear. So if you can't solve a problem, you can't name it, but I will. And here and now, the leadership of the Democrat Party has become consumed with hate.
And what I found to be surprising, though, is the fact that you have some individuals in the mainstream liberal media who are actually covering the story, right? Unlike, CNN and the rest of MSNBC and the mainstream liberal media, Morning Joe actually picked up on this story And surprisingly, they turned on this guy and called for him to drop out of the race. Take a look.
For text messages, horrible. I didn't want to read them out loud. I'm wondering how the text messages came to light.
Deeply disturbing messages that have been swiftly condemned across the political aisle. The Republicans have tried to tie this to the Congresswoman Spanberger, the gubernatorial candidate. She did very quickly denounce them. But it's unclear whether this attorney general candidate will stay in the race. I think there's a growing sense that he probably should not. We heard President Trump last night. But even some Democratic leaders, John Hyman, have started to say, like, look, this is inappropriate. You can't, and especially at a time right now with such concern about violent rhetoric and political violence.
Who says that?
Yeah, that this is just way beyond the line.
I would say, not to be too much on the high horse. It's wildly inappropriate under any circumstances today, tomorrow, 10 years ago, 6 months ago. I think the pressure is going to be on Spanberger and for the party to ask this candidate to just quit the race, because it's the right thing, and also the political splashback. You don't want to mess with this right now.
Who says that?
I think the right thing to do is basically this guy should do everyone a favor and step out of the race.
Yeah, so what we have here is a bit of political calculus for Democrats, okay? Do they remain silent while also endorsing a guy? They all endorse a guy who openly fantasizes about killing Republican leaders and their families, right? Do they endorse this guy, not say anything about it, and just say, you know what? It's cool, right? We don't feel the need to say anything about this or to demand that this guy drop out of a race or anything like that. Or do they grow a backbone, right? And they say, hey, you know what? We're going to stand up to this type of extremism. These type of individuals do not belong in the Democrat Party. Now, again, this is a big deal because their refusal to take a real stance on this, to demand that this guy drop out of the race and to say, hey, I denounce what he said. I denounce his candidacy. If they don't do that, then they risk personally facing a backlash for what he said, right? Because again, it's going to look like, well, do you agree with this, right? You stand behind this guy who openly fantasizes about killing Republicans, and you're talking about being the top law enforcement official in the state. Again, this guy's disqualified, right? I mean, in a sane world, Democrats at all levels, okay, of the government in Virginia and at the national level say, no, we can't have this, right? This guy has to step down, okay? But we have not seen Democrats come out in full force and to demand that this guy drop out of the race. Now, if this was a Republican, right? If a Republican had fantasized about killing a Democrat and was running for attorney general, we all know what Democrats would be saying. They'd be hooping and hollering. They'd be like, oh, see, a MAGA supremacist, a MAGA extremist is running for attorney general. He said he wants to kill us, right? They would be putting the pressure on Republicans to force that candidate to drop out of the race. But when it's one of their own, they're slow walking it, right? They ain't really got that much to say about it, and they're not calling for this individual to drop out of the race as they should. So without further ado, let's learn a little bit more about this situation from the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin.
President Trump is joining calls for Virginia's Democratic Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, to drop out of his race after text messages resurface of him justifying a political assassination of the state's former GOP House Speaker, Todd Gilbert. We want to warn you, the messages are violent. Here you go. Jones writing in 2022 a quote, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time.
Wow.
Joining us now is the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. Governor, he's a Democrat, I get it, but when you saw this, you thought what?
I thought this was a joke because no one could write this. I mean, no, this is demented. And here we have the Democrat candidate running for attorney general, the top cop in Virginia, wishing not only that he had 2 bullets to put in a guy's head, but then he wishes death on his children. And Todd Gilbert has small kids. And for Jay Jones to wish death on his small children is beyond belief. But that is where the violent left of the Democrat Party is. This is where these folks are. You know, we had Charlie Kirk assassinated, and so many folks celebrated in the far left. We've had two Democrats threaten to murder two of our delegates running for office in Virginia, and now Jay Jones comes out and says that he has 2 bullets for Todd Gilbert's head and wants to see his children die. I mean, this is unbelievable. And what's shocking also is that after calling for the normal apology, the Democrat candidates, Abigail Spanberger and the rest of them, were out campaigning this weekend like it was nothing. They have got to call for this guy to resign, step down, get out of this race in disgrace, because this is beyond disqualifying. I mean, they're asking people to vote for this guy to be the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Meanwhile, we have the best Attorney General, Jason Miyares, in the nation, and everyone in Virginia should step forward, rehire Jason Miyares, and demonstrate that Virginia stands for the values that not just hold our country together, but we reject all political violence, and we reject anyone that would call for violence on a child. It's unbelievable. Winsome Sears immediately came out and condemned this, and Abigail Spanberger gave the normal, oh, it was wrong, and then's back out campaigning with the Democrats calling for this guy to win. This is nuts, and this is why the Democrat Party has lost touch with where America is today, when they can support someone who wants to put 2 bullets in somebody's head who's a political arrival and see his children die.
So yeah, I mean, this is spot on. He's 100% right. The only thing I would say at this point is that I don't even know if it's a far left thing anymore, right? Like, again, what I saw after Charlie Kirk has convinced me that it ain't just what we characterize as the far left. Right? There are significant portions of people on the left who are cool with political violence, right? Again, this is seeped into the establishment politics of the Democrat Party. We already see that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're facing pressure from the far left to do anything they can to stop Trump. I've read stories about how Democrats are being told by their Democrat Party voters that if you're not willing to get shot, if you're not willing to die for the illegals, then you're not built for this, right? You're not built for it. That's how extreme the base of the Democrat Party has become. Now, again, the political risk here for the Democrat candidate in the governor's race against Winsome Sears, who's the Republican candidate in Virginia, is that if voters are motivated to get out and vote against this guy, which voters should be motivated to vote against this guy, that could provide a boost to Winsome Sears, right? So, in my opinion, I'm kind of low-key hoping that he's so arrogant and that Democrats just kind of, ignore it and move on, that he stays in a race. And if he stays in a race, hopefully that drags down the Democrat candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger, right? Hopefully it drags her down. It helps Winsome Sears because you have more Republicans that are motivated to vote against this guy, and hopefully they vote for her. But yeah, she has to run a better campaign overall. But certainly this is a boost, right? So if this guy is so arrogant and he stays in because Democrats feel like they could just get away with this, they could just ignore it and move on and not call for the guy to step down or to force him to step down, then it could end up backfiring because the negative effects of it will spill over and affect other Democrats who will be guilty by association and because of their silence.
Abigail Spanberger, who's right now leading your lieutenant governor, wants to be governor by about 5 points, said this: I spoke frankly with Jay about my disgust with what he said and texted. I made clear to Jay that he must take full responsibility for his words. I will always condemn violent language in our politics. And he came out and did. And he said that he says, I have reached out to Speaker Gilbert to apologize directly to him and his wife and their children. I cannot take back what I said. I can only take full responsibility and offer my sincere apology. So she feels as though Spanberger feels, the Congresswoman feels that's enough. And you?
Not even close. The only satisfactory answer here is to step out of this race in disgrace. And gosh, I'm sorry is nowhere near sufficient. Can you imagine if she was putting together her cabinet and was trying to name her Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, and this guy shows up and said, by the way, I said I was going to put bullets in the head of my political rival and I hoped his children would die? And is she saying she'd hire him for that? No. At the end of the day, it is beyond disqualifying, and that's why the Democrats have to come together and figure out where their moral compass is, because they don't have one right now, where they can allow someone to stay on the ticket who has said these demented things about a political rival and his children to all the moms in Virginia. This is a ticket that in fact is allowing someone to stay on the ticket who wants children to die. And I can't believe Virginians for a second will allow this to happen.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the Democrat Party voters actually have a moral compass, to be honest with you. Again, I have questions about anybody who is willing to vote Democrat and their morality at this point in time, because I'm not entirely sure, considering what the Democrat Party has showed us over the past 4 to 5 years. How can a moral person continue to vote and to support Democrats, right? I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. But regardless, Earle-Sears needs to run a better campaign. She's struggling, but again, this may be the boost that she needs. And as long as this guy stays in the race and Democrats try to skirt past this and pretend like, oh, it's not a big deal, it can and will be used against the Democrats. So that being said, you guys vote, okay? These upcoming major races, specifically the races out in Virginia and New Jersey and some of these swing states, vote, okay? Get out and vote. Elections are coming up. We cannot allow Democrats to revive their party, right? Because if they end up sweeping these races, then, again, they're going to get a lot of momentum, right? Especially the far left loonies who are going to get a lot of momentum from Zohran Mamdani likely winning the New York City race. So if that happens, along with, Democrats winning some of these governor's races, yeah, it's not going to be good, right? It's going to be a bad sign. I think that we still have some time to go, again, until the midterms. So, it's not the end of the world if they end up sweeping. But I think at this point we can play spoiler by picking off 1 or 2 of these races. I think that race out in New Jersey really is probably the best chance that we have of playing spoiler for Democrats in this election season. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.